everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today I'm talking about my top 10 little annoyances in games. And this is in the game itself, the manufacturing of the game. Lest you think I am a negative Nancy, there is another list going up at the same time about top 10 little joys when I open a game, things that I enjoy. These are in no particular order. I just put them here. There's probably things I'm forgetting, and I'm sure you'll have things to add in the comments. So here we go, in no particular order. It's kind of annoying to me when there's a box and I open it up and look at all these things and I have to Tetris the game back together. Now, don't get me wrong, it's cool when there's a box with that much stuff, but there are some games I take out all the pieces and I'm thinking, how do I get them all back in? This is especially true in some games where the box is actually shrink wrapped together and there's, this much extra space, and then you sit there and you think, okay, maybe if I stick this piece under here and wrap this thing around here, just give me a little bit more space. Then square cornered cards. Seems like a minor thing, but I have a card rounder for this purpose where I will curve the corners of them. Those prickly corners, they cause problems. One, they poke people, but two, they get nicked really easily. And they also make shuffling kind of a pain in the neck. Another thing that annoys me is when there is one player aid that's really necessary and we have to pass it around to everybody. Or maybe there's two player aids. I played one game, I think one time, that there's 4 players and they gave 3 player aids. Spend the extra 2 cents and put another player aid in the game, please. When the box is slightly different, number 4, than every other box I have, but just slightly. My favorite box is the Ticket to Ride size box, but I have some boxes that are just slightly bigger. Nowadays when a lot of companies are using the same manufacturers, it's not hard to make your box. I'm not saying that boxes have to all be the same size, although if I had my way, there would be 4 sizes you could pick. But when that one box is just slightly bigger than the rest or slightly bigger than the shelf, I just find that slightly annoying. When there's no names in the back of cards. This happens in a lot of games where there are 5 different decks, and there's the enemy deck and the hero deck and the weapon deck, and they're just various shades, or sometimes they put the name of the game on the back of all of them, and I have to remember enemies are blue and items are green, and which card do I flip over at which time? Found that to be a little bit of a pain in the neck, and I'd rather just put enemies on it. It might not look as pretty, but it's easier for us, the players. This one I talk about all the time. It's kind of annoying to me when player colors and colors of the pieces are the same. Ticket to Ride does this, where you are the yellow player, but there's also yellow train cards. In every game, I say, yellow player, yellow train cards have nothing to do with you. Especially when we live in a world of hundreds of colors, to have player colors and resource colors be the same seems like an easy thing to fix. I'm not a small person, and I have fairly large hands, and so it's annoying when I get a game and I can't fit my hand in the draw bag. Give us bigger draw bags. Let us breathe as we stick our hand in to pull out pieces. So annoyance is too small of draw bags. Very similar to the shared player aids. The next one is when they give 1 die or a single pair of dice, but everyone has to roll it. So I roll, and then I pass to you. And then you roll, and you pass them. Roll, 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 roll. Now, I know dice aren't super cheap, but if their dice are rolled a lot, it's kind of annoying when I have to pass it back and forth. Even more so in a game where there is armies fighting each other and there's only enough dice and you have to pass them back and forth with your opponent, or sometimes there's not enough dice to even roll. You need to roll 6 dice, but the game only provided 3. Looking at you, Fantasy Flight. And then tiny text, large art. Oh, I love art. Art's fantastic. Cool art on cards is great. But when the art takes up 95% of the card and you have tiny text at the bottom, it's okay if you shrink the art just a bit to give more text. Magic the Gathering does a really good job at this, and I don't mind the art being slightly smaller so that I can read what's written on the card. And then finally, my small annoyances, weird terms. If you call the draw deck the Mulaka, that's fine, but it's going to be harder for me to remember. And if you talk about it, sometimes games will talk about weird terms, or maybe the terms are tied to an intellectual property, and I don't know everything about that intellectual property, and so I don't know what they're talking about. Sometimes they'll use the terms interchangeably. They'll call the draw deck the Wakaba, and then they'll call it draw deck later on. I'm thinking, aren't they the same thing? I'm confused. Weird terms, it's nice they've had theme to your game, but sometimes the terms are so weird that I don't know what's going on. As I said, These are small annoyances, many times in games that I love anyway. Check out my list of top 10 small joys in games. Tell me what are little annoyances for you in games below. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.
Thanks so much for watching another Dice Tower video. If you enjoy our videos, subscribe to the channel for more fun, comprehensive board game coverage. Also, consider joining us at one of our events. Come to Dice Tower Retreat, a small, intimate gathering where gaming is king. Join us for Dice Tower Cruise, the largest board game cruise. Attend Dice Tower West in Las Vegas for gaming fun on the West Coast, or Dice Tower East in Orlando, in sunny Florida. Dice Tower Conventions, the friendliest gaming conventions on Earth. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.